welcome to Madre Coffeside Chats. I'm Chris Owen, your host, and I'm here with Matt Ponzi, the musical realtor, who actually has his own jingle. So we'll go to that first.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Excited to be here. Well, if you have a home to sell and want it done, don't wait a spell, call Matthew. That's me. And if you're tired of paying rent, your landlord's where your money went, call Matthew. Buying or selling real estate, get the facts and get them straight. Dial 515-85444 for smiling service and much more. Call Matthew. MatthewSellsDenver.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice work, man. That's cool. I don't know too many. I can't say I know a single other realtor that has their own jingle. So, especially one that can play it on command with the guitar.
Thank you.
So, yeah, man.
It.
Well, great to have you. Excited to learn a little bit more about you. We've been friends, 10 plus years, and happened to reconnect in the lobby of a virtual alternative business networking group meeting. So
how cool is that? And, you know, it's wild, Chris. There have been 2 or 3 other connections that I've made with people who I've met since before COVID pandemic. And everybody that I've met so far, you know, they have initiative, they have motivation, and they're going for it. And that's why they're in these networking groups. And it was really nice to reconnect with you there.
Thanks, man. I felt the same way. It's always nice to see a friendly face. And you've done a couple different things since college. You've done some touring with some music, and you've been doing real estate for quite some time now. Recently joined a team. So why don't we start with the music? So you were touring, and tell us how that went. What was that like?
So I mean, music for me, it started as a real passion back when I was 16 years old, and when I saw one of my buddies playing guitar, and I just saw him like work his way up and down the fretboard, and I thought to myself, I was like, you know, I bet I can do that. I have pretty big hands. And I was like, I asked my mom for a guitar, you know, for my birthday, and sure enough, for that birthday, my 16th birthday, I got my first Yamaha Strat copy starter pack. And these were before the YouTube days. So I was a self-taught guitarist, and what I found online was a system called tablature, where it charts the frets that you play on the 6 strings across the screen. And that's how I ended up playing. I learned some simple like Sublime songs and Nirvana, and some Metallica songs, and some Queens of the Stone Age. And then one of my favorites to play at that time was System of a Down. I loved that kind of heavy music. That was back when I was sporting, you know, bondage pants and spike bracelets, back when that was in fashion. Of course, you know, I've had to kind of class up a little bit since then, you know, to get into this business and to maintain a professional sort of image. But music has always been something that's touched my soul in a way that nothing else really does. So it's stuck with me, Chris.
So you're saying there might be a Slayer shirt underneath that button up? Is what I mean.
Oh yeah, there sure is.
That's cool, man. Well, that's awesome. You're able to keep that passion. I think I might have even seen you play in college, actually. So you translated that, and now your moniker, the musical realtor. How did you get into real estate?
So after college, I was working for a traditional summer camp for the YMCA. And it was a really great experience. You know, we would teach kids how to like camp out properly. I would play guitar for them all the time. We would teach them how to shoot like rifles and bows and arrows, and how to kayak and canoe. It was a really cool experience. And then it's a wild story, because 2 weeks before the end of camp, we had this crazy torrential rainstorm that ended up causing mudslides and ended up caving in one of the walls of one of the buildings.
Oh my goodness.
And so our last 2 weeks of camp were spent there just counselors. They canceled all of the campers, and we took advantage of that pretty well. I mean, we definitely had our fun times out in the woods, and you know, definitely partied a little bit, but it was a great experience. And then after that, I moved back home. I was, you know, typical millennial living in my mom's basement, and working before and after school programs for the Y, like making next to nothing. And I went on Craigslist and I found this ad posting that said business marketing opportunity, no experience required. And at the time I was like looking to try and get jobs in banks. Like I wanted to get into sales. And when I replied to this ad, like it was a whole show that they put on, and long story short, it turned out to be door-to-door sales for a third-party vendor of Quest. And I stuck with it. I realized that in 2 sales, I could make as much as I did, working 2 weeks at the YMCA. So it was a no-brainer. I definitely learned how to have some thick skin and how to brush it off. When I got no as an answer, how to just brush it off my shoulders. And one sales job after the next, and then after the next, then I found Trulia. At the time, it was still a privately traded company, and that's how I first got into real estate.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And so you've went from being an independent to now joining a team. Before we get to the new team, actually, why don't we start? Let's start there. Tell us a little bit about the new team, what you're up to, and then the second part of that question, maybe what are some of the skills you learned as an independent that you've been able to transfer and bring to your team?
Oh, yeah. So as an independent agent, really the thing that I learned the most was just to maintain the client relationships that I had. But that's something that I carried on with me from working for Trulia, since I was in the account management division of the company. It wasn't really a turn and burn sort of sales role where it was transactional. It was definitely more of a sort of consultative role where you would be a guide and you would help them get the best results from their products, which that really stuck with me. And that's why real estate has been great for me, because it's not a transactional sort of sales process. You're guiding people through the entire process. You're educating people. And as an independent agent, that's really what was made clear to me, that I was in a role where I could help people, and I would be in a position to really help them, not just up to the closing, but after the closing as well, calling them and seeing what they needed help with. And then from there, I think you were going to go into joining a team, right? Yeah. So what I realized that I was missing out on for my first 4 years in real estate was the fact that I was paying for all my own marketing. I was doing all my own transaction coordination, and I was hosting all my own events and paying for everything out of pocket. Now, had I had it to do over, I would have joined a team early on. It's definitely humbled me, because I've realized how much having power in numbers and having support staff to help you along the way, so you could focus on what's important, which is helping your clients.
Yeah, no, it sounds like just the capacity to have some people, handle the things so you can be out reaching out to clients, ensuring that everything goes smoothly. And then also just the power in numbers of maybe having a team. I believe in, in our pre-chat, you were talking about having a mentor, and what that's meant to you. I'm curious, what has that been like, going from working for yourself now to having a mentor on, I believe, the #1 team at HomeSmart?
Yeah. So HomeSmart is one of the largest national brokerages, and we're the #1 team in Colorado. And the team lead, Vivi, she has been working real estate in this market for over 20 years. She has a background in engineering, and she is a diehard economist. So when it comes to knowing what's going on in the economy and following closely, that's something that she has definitely encouraged us all to join along with her in the process. She does quarterly updates called Denvernomics sessions. And it's a really good opportunity to see what's going on with the economy and how real estate is related.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And, I'm curious, I meet a lot of people that have different niches in real estate, but I'm curious to know a little bit for you, like, where does the passion come from? And then, what do you feel like you have any specialties or things that sort of set you apart?
Yeah, so it goes back to, me being in a relationship sort of building business where it's not, about how many sales you make or how much you could sell, but it's about how much you could help your clients so that you could earn their, not just their business, but their endorsement as well, because most of my business ends up coming from the referrals that I get from my friends and from people who know that I've been establishing a brand in real estate. But in the way of a niche, like I work with people who are, just purchasing their home for the first time, and then people who are selling and either upsizing or downsizing, or people who are looking to buy up investment properties and either fix and flip them or use them as income properties as rentals.
Nice. And you're also a native, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So that you probably have a really good just awareness of like neighborhoods and sort of watching how different places are becoming trendy or maybe becoming safer perhaps,
Oh
and where to
yeah.
find those niche deals as well, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So I originally grew up in a little townhouse in southeast Denver on Florida and Quebec, and my
Mm,
grandparents lived here. They were born here as well. So I ended up moving into their house when I was 10 years old, and that's in the Hilltop neighborhood, which is a really nice area near Cherry Creek. And God, the changes that I've seen over the years from them,
mm,
like taking, single level 1950s ranch style homes. That's an area that's become extremely desirable. So they've been leveling a lot of those homes and then putting up like bigger sort of like mansion style homes that fill up the whole lots. But it's
mhm.
wild to think that my grandparents lived in there, where it was still an area where every house was a 1953 sort of flat style ranch home, and it's just changed so much, Chris. And then North Denver is another example, and North Denver now, you see the Highlands, you see Rhino, you see all these areas emerging, and all these repurposed warehouses where at one point they had like a print shop, or they had different sort of businesses, and now they're turning into either homes or co-working spaces or restaurants. It's something else. And you
Pretty
see
fun.
other cities around the country that are modeling themselves after Denver. So
Yeah, to your point about the north side, Tennyson, Highlands, Lehigh, Baker, Berkeley, there's just so many of these neighborhoods popping up. I can't even keep track of them, to be honest. I
yeah.
feel like even where I live is always being called something else. But I actually learned there's two Berkeleys, Berkeley with an Ley and an Ly, I guess. I
Yep.
don't know. I'm not the expert. But just in terms of timeliness, I'm curious, with more people staying home, do you foresee any change, like any effects of sort of our current scenario on pricing, perhaps dislocation, maybe any changes to supply demand?
So yeah, definitely, especially when it comes to commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is going to take a big hit. Companies are realizing that they could have a productive workforce and lower their overhead by not having a physical office. So that's one of the effects that we're going to see. Likely is unfortunately a struggle in the commercial sector. But when it comes to residential, I mean, everyone needs a place to live. It's
Mm,
not going to stop the influx of people from California and people from Texas and Michigan who come out to Colorado. I run into these people all the time, especially from California, who are looking for a more affordable place to live where they could have a really good quality of life. And Denver being 30 45 minutes away from the mountains, depending on which direction you go,
yep.
it's where people want to be.
Yeah, my brother actually just moved here from New York, and I think that the combination of the outdoors and pricing and just access to the mountains, it's been a game changer for him as well. So we'll be see if he wants to look into actually investing in something. He just picked up a long-term lease now. But well, awesome, man.
Awesome.
Any any words to the wise out there for how you've been sort of creating, maybe playing music to stay even keel?
Yeah. So one of the first things I ended up doing once shelter at home went into effect was writing a song. The song is called Self Quarantine. So at some point I'll make a video out of it,
Mm,
or produce it so that people can check that out. My band, so I play in a little local rock band too called Stony Lonesome, and that's been put on pretty much on hold because there's
mhm,
no events. So we've been doing, like, I've been on like some of the local, which this might be an idea for you too, Chris, is doing some sort of an open mic night, a virtual open mic night. So I know one of the local breweries that used to have a regular open mic night is doing a Zoom open mic night, which actually was really cool.
Nice.
I enjoyed watching and participating in that. And then, I've just been networking with people. I'm one of the few people who actually hasn't watched a single episode of Tiger King. I know that might be polarizing to some people, but for me, I just have better things to do than sit around and just watch a screen. I mean, I'll be at the fact that I've been doing that, during Zoom meetings, but I'd rather connect with people and stay fit. I brought my bench press home. That was another one of the first things that I did after shelter in place was put into effect. And then creative projects like this, like I have my own interview series going that I'm working with Denver young professionals on, and I was really excited for the opportunity to interview you about Madre Coffee as well. So we'll put a link to that hopefully in our post of this interview.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, thanks. I think it's pretty exciting. Now, how can people find you? How can they find your music and your website? Like, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, so on pretty much on every platform. My name is Matthew Ponzi. I don't know if you're gonna have it maybe in this corner over here.
But it is.
It may not be there after the call once it is recorded. But yeah, you can find me by just searching Matthew Ponzi. I have a very unique name, and I've heard about every single Ponzi joke there is out there. So you can't bring any creative ones to the plate. And if you do, you're gonna get a call from me, and we'll chat about it. I'll be excited to hear your creative Ponzi jokes.
Challenge accepted.
So yeah, you could also search on Instagram and on Facebook. You could search the Musical Realtor. That's a brand that I've just recently rebranded myself to, and it's fitting. It's just what people told me I should be, and it's the truth. It's miraculous that I didn't think of that earlier on. So,
well, awesome, man. Well, thanks for being on here, sharing some stories. I appreciate you so much, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely, Chris. It's a pleasure. I'll be seeing you soon.
Thanks, man.